in any case, the recovery's been going okay. I mean, I can kind of do this now. Granted, it's still a little off because this finger is the only finger that's really screwed up as the ring finger.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of trying to do this back and forth, that's my current goal is to be able to do the this thing with the. I'm trying to get to be able to do that with this hand, the alternating between the Spock and the other thing. Because if I can get that back, that will be most of the mobility I need because it's this finger here. And it's really hard to come up with exercises for it because I can do this just fine, but I can't get this other fingers up because the nerve with this is interlinked with the other two, with all the nerves in the other two fingers, and that's. But other than that, I mean, I have almost my typing ability back. I'm still working on some of the cognitive stuff. The multitasking is still pretty well down right now. And I get tired, still get mentally fatigued really easy.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Yeah, but a lot of that's just trying to rechart those neural pathways.
Yeah.
Hey, 15, you know how you were saying that you're looking for different types of finger exercises?
Mhm.
In between the two, while you're trying to do the extreme of one and the extreme of the other, do Texas Longhorns.
That?
There you go.
That I can do.
Yeah,
That I can
and do that in between it.
But of course, I prefer this
stress.
one. I always prefer that one.
You can do that too, but I'm saying just move it down before you move it up and then out, and it might help.
Gretchen,
Yeah.
Gretchen, you do know sign language, right?
I do.
Okay, so you know what the point of me liking this one is then.
I love you too.
Of course, the most important one to be able to do around here is this.
Isn't it, John?
That's
I do like that one.
That's cute.
Actually, let me fix my camera. I am zoomed way in. Let me see if I can fix that. Because this is, it's usually not like, hi, my face is in the camera. I like to, not make people feel like I'm looking into their souls when I get the opportunity, at least. Let's zoom out here.
We know you are anyway.
Get back to normal. Come on. Zoom out. Come on. I'm going to make it do it one at a time, so I'm bouncing all over the place. There we go. That's better. Now I can actually, do the bullshit thing properly.
That is good, that one.
Yeah, I never technically learned sign language, but I picked up a couple important things from the wife. But what struck me as interesting is, what is it? The brim for male, and what is how do you do the bonnet for the female? I can't remember.
I can't remember. I don't know.
It was explained as
The
the way.
strings of her bonnet and the cap of his hat.
Yeah, and that's kind of how you differentiate male and female in terms of sign. It's interesting that this is kind of the root for some of the American Sign Language, at least. It's kind of neat. Of course, it's really
completely different from the UK type.
Yeah, there are very distinctive differences apparently between the two, from what I've been told.
Doesn't American Sign Language stick to one hand for an awful lot of things? Certainly letters.
Well, letters, yes, but I've in terms of seeing people doing the sign language, they seem to use both hands quite a lot.
It might just be the alphabet then.
Yeah.
Let's also not forget the universal sign for telling people off. That's always one-handed.
Yeah, there was a friend of mine that did actually occasionally work with kids that were deaf, and when they'd ask her name, she'd do Mickey Mouse. I don't understand why, but that was her thing. Mickey Mouse.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I don't know, but that was her thing. Is she'd identify herself apparently as Mickey Mouse to them because this, I guess, is Mickey Mouse. I don't know. Either that or they thought she was Bullwinkle. I'm not sure which.
Ouch.
I'm willing to go with Bullwinkle in a pinch.
I'm dropping everywhere.
I know. So I know I'm talking to 3 Americans and a Brit, but any of you guys interested in the Canadian election?
Yes, actually, because from everything I've heard, you're going to the dark place just like the U.S. is.
Oh dear.
Nope. Well, we have right now the Liberal Party is really expected to have victory, and there's even a good chance of a Liberal majority. Right now, the seating projections.
Hang on, how's it actually going with the voting so far? Any of the results in?
Yes, yes, there's a good chunk of the results in. Ultimately, the Liberals are ahead. The Conservatives are in second, with the NDP and Quebec, Bloc de Quebecois behind. So let's see. In terms of seating victories, I'll just look it up. So so Canada election results. So far, the Liberals have 117 seats. Those are guaranteed. 66 seats go to the Conservative Party. The New Democrats have 8 seats, and the Bloc has 2. That's pretty much those are the seats declared. With the seats projected, it's 183 for the Liberals, 105 for the Conservatives. NDP have 35, Bloc has 10, and 1 for our National Green Party. You need 175 seats to have a majority government. So the Liberals might just have their way in Parliament if all things are continuing along as they have been. So, which is pretty nice. The last 4 years have been a Conservative majority in terms of government, and 6 years before that we've had a Conservative minority. One of those years it really backfired on us because we did a recall election expecting to kick the Conservatives out of the Parliament, but what ended up happening is they won, and they won a majority, whereas beforehand they had a minority. So that whole thing backfired on us. Mostly because some young people can't get out to the election and vote.
Well, we have a problem with voter turnout in the U.S. too. And the funny thing is, a lot of people that don't bother to vote are actually the ideologues. You'd think they'd want to. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, the volume of people that will sit there and bitch and moan about who ends up getting elected that don't vote. Now, granted, I tend not to. I'll admit that. But I also do my bitching and whining. But I live in Texas. It's a red state. And there are so many people that vote that way that it's almost pointless. Literally, my vote doesn't count in this state. I'd be tempted to move to a state where it does. That'd be kind of nice.
If it doesn't count, you might as well vote for who you would ideally want as opposed to who you would practically want.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the thing is, if it's basically a throwaway anyway, you could vote for Cthulhu for all it matters.
Vote Cthulhu.
And honestly, there was 1 year I was considering doing that because why vote for a lesser evil?
Exactly.
Because I mean that's it. I mean South Park kind of had it right when they said that your choice is always between a giant douche and a turd sandwich.
Yep.
That kind of sums it up.
I've sort of given up on politics now.
But
I'm
anyway,
just disillusioned.
Anyway, for anyone out there in Viewerland, we have invited the armored Christian, and we hope he will come and join us. The water's really nice in here, and we do have 1 or 2 participants that may or may not be joining us at some point. Drag is not currently on the list, though, but, I'd like to have a conversation with him and see what he understands about things like, some of the notions that he's promoting, like things like burden of proof and what have you, to try and understand what he thinks he's trying to communicate, because his video was kind of all over the place, quite frankly. And maybe you give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, Phony Beetle Maniacs the other day, I got in a huge argument with him, and come to find out, after we got him into conversation, it turned out we agreed on a lot of things. Surprise, surprise. He was just presenting the argument poorly. So, give him a chance. And I have stacked the deck a little bit in here, as the people that are the more regular viewers will know, just by seeing who's in here. So, we'll see. Maybe they'll join, maybe they won't. But hopefully Holy Spackle will get back here soon, because she's supposed to be joining back in a little bit. So we will see. But in the meantime, the invite's out there, and they thumbed up. When asked if they'd like to have a conversation, they thumbed it up. So we will see. I don't know what thumbs up necessarily means as an answer, but I don't know. So that's that. But yeah, at the moment it's a little bit of Canadian politics, and I'm glad that you're not being plagued by the U.S. craziness that much this time.
Oh yeah, not this time. Although I had at least one heated Facebook discussion. Personally, I vote Liberal because I find that they're pretty good with immigration. They have the policies I prefer.
Are you a single issue voter though?
Sorry.
Are you a single issue voter though?
In Canada, I am. Yes, in Canada, I pretty much am.
Hmm.
Uh,
I
I
wouldn't have guessed that.
mhm.
Especially with the main issue being immigration.
that that one is always more in play, and parties tend to follow through on it. I'm pro-life, for example, but even the conservatives, who are the most pro-life party, I've had a conservative insider tell me, look, if one of our party members puts a pro-life bill on the floor, we will instantly block it before it even gets there. It's going to hurt our reputation with single mothers and stuff.
Well, I
So,
mean, it's kind
so
of one of those things that choice is kind of a big deal. There's this myth that making abortion illegal reduces the number of abortions, and that's really not the case. All that it really does is makes it so it puts more danger on the mother's life. And frankly, the biblical arguments for it, I think, are a little bit preposterous because, well, if you go by that, technically, in accordance to Judaism, if it's choice between the life of the mother and the child, you always go with the mother.
oh well, I would agree with that. My position on that isn't based off of a utilitarian outcome, better consequences. It's more of a moral argument. But in any case, I don't go with it because there's not going to be any change effectual with the Conservative Party. Again, they just block any kind of pro-life legislation before it gets out there. While they'll certainly allow you to be pro-life and even go to pro-life rallies and promote yourself there, they won't really let you do anything. So I
Kind of
just
like gun control in the U.S., you mean?
yeah, kind of like that. So yeah, I just don't bother with it.
You know, you stand up there, you're going to say, we're going to start making these weapons illegal, and then you don't do anything.
Yeah, same-sex marriage is not going anywhere. So there's no reason you should vote based on that at all. So
Actually, on that front, you mentioned the problem that Canada had when they actually initially approved the same-sex marriage a while ago, if I remember correctly. I think you're one of the folks in that room, that it took like a year to actually make it legal for gay people to get divorced.
yeah, pretty much.
They do not have that problem in Texas. Apparently, in Texas here, they actually made it legal for gay people to get divorced long before marriage was legal.
Really?
Yes! So people coming from other states that were gay that had been married could get a divorce in Texas.
I'm guessing there was no problem passing it on the argument of the sanctity of divorce.
No, not.
Divorce has been an institution recognized in history between a man and his bitch of an ex-wife.
for as long as marriage has been around. Now, granted, there were a couple brief time periods that divorce wasn't allowed by the church, mind you, and during
That is
these
true.
time periods, there were certain monarchs that found a way around it.
Yeah,
The guillotine.
it was called the annulment. In any
No. The guillotine is not an annulment. I've got news for you.
oh, sorry, I didn't hear the guillotine part.
No, there were numerous kings that declared their spouses to be unfaithful or whatever they could, basically, up to the point of calling them a witch, damn near, just for the sake of getting out of the marriage. And if they wouldn't annul it, they would just have them killed in the streets, essentially. There was at least one instance that a monarch had his wife beheaded so that he could basically move in his lover.
King
Because
Henry VIII.
the church would not approve divorce. I think it was
Anne Boleyn.
which one was it?
Anne Boleyn.
Anne Boleyn, yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Like, damn it, I should know this.
I mean, the Anglican Church was started because a man wanted to annul his marriage.
Well, yeah, pretty much. That was kind of a central thing in it. Once again, just a reminder, through Google Plus, I did send an invite to Armored Christian. You're welcome to come in. As I said, the water's fine in here, man.
Economically speaking, the Liberal Party are like the golden mean. They're not too socialistic like the NDP, but they're not too corporatistic like the Conservative Party. Um, they have a good They also have a pretty good platform on students, on student education, and things of that nature. So yeah, I usually just go Liberal. Plus, I know the guy who's running as minister for Halifax West, and he's a pretty nice guy. Jeff Regan.
I wouldn't know. I'm not Canadian.
Regan is yeah. I've met him before. He struck me as a nice guy. I've talked to him, and he's pretty much served this district faithfully. So I saw no reason to vote against him.
And incidentally, for the sake of viewers, no live chat tonight. Sorry. I'm running this standard hangout style. That way I can use this mic and wear my hat if I want to. Because if you get a new hat, you might as well wear it occasionally, right?
Yeah.
That and no, I still haven't watched Breaking Bad, so I have no idea who anyone's talking about.
Oh, and by the way, so far, 223 seats out of 338 have come back, and that would mean that there are a little more than 100 seats that the Liberal Party could win. The Liberals just need to win about 52. Yeah, actually, they just need to win about 27 seats.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, I keep thinking to myself, Headless, Para, and Geordie are probably out there somewhere climbing the freaking walls wanting to talk more about the darn Canadian politics.
Oh, sorry, 37 seats. My bad. I can't math.
You don't need
No.
Well, let's see now. Have we gotten any replies here? I'm willing to bet no. And if it's a no, then I can switch this to a more standardized hangout in a little bit. But we will see. I'm hoping to do a little bit of a special something different, but we will see. But let's see now. +1 to the comment. Okay, here we go. No thanks, man. I gotta be high to be around atheists. Hi, I'm the only atheist in the room.
You might want to tell them that in comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I was just talking about how pro-life I am, and I don't know how you could assume I was an atheist. Actually, no, they're a pro-life atheist. I take that back. So, Stevens, how was your stint as a high school chemistry teacher?
Oh, what? Is that a Breaking Bad reference?
Yes, it is.
And let me get Holy Spackle another link here. Yeah, she lost the old one. I will send her the current link. Yeah, I do, of course, love the assumption that I stacked the room full of atheists because,
yeah.
evil atheists and all. But let's see what the response is to that, if any. There we go. Henry VIII, thank you, Paranor. And currently 122 Liberal, 66 PC. Steve got heaved. Okay. Steve is that guy that's been causing all those problems for you, I assume.
Ouch.
That was the Canadian.
Hmm?
What
Matt.
was that? Sorry. I was stalling the election.
The comment was Steve got heaved. Has that been a slogan to get rid of the current guy?
Yes, it is.
And that's the guy that was apparently wrecking Canada.
Yep. I don't like Stephen Harper, but I will say I thought some of the comments towards him were a little much. I've heard people use Fuhrer Harper. I mean, politically, I know that's rhetorically powerful, but I don't see a need to call anyone Fuhrer unless they're doing something which is overtly Nazi-ish. I mean, when he starts genociding people, then I'll take it more seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just basically the word that I've been getting is that he was a major zealot. In terms of what, I don't even know. But it basically, the way it was pitched to me is essentially a Republican GOP clone moved to Canada. In terms of the kind of weird candidates we've been getting.
Yeah, what is going on with American politics?
Oh, actually, we have, weirdly enough, Trump as a front runner, which is horrifying.
Yeah.
And when the public opinion polls say that Bernie Sanders won the debate, CNN is saying that Hillary won, regardless of the polls. So I don't get it.
Well, that's a bit silly because surely you want to know how it went across to the electorate, i.e. those who participate in the opinion polls.
Mm.
So all that does is give the others a false sense of how they're doing, which doesn't really do them any favours. So what's CNN playing at? Very strange.
Yeah, I already had to tip my proverbial hat because the last comment that came through was I would have to be high to go into a room full of atheists. So I kind of let the cat out of the bag that I was only inviting Christians tonight. But we'll see if that's really his reasoning or if he's afraid to have anyone disagree with him, essentially.
Maybe if we all decide to get high together, he'll be more likely to come in.
Shadow, can I ask you what has caused your particular interest in this particular guy?
He has a problem understanding the burden of proof, and he's making, frankly, it sounds like he's a former follower of Shock of God by the way he presents his stuff. Which I think most Christians would agree really made Christians look bad.
I don't actually, because I'm newer, maybe. I don't know who Shock of God is, which might be a good thing.
Shock of God was like, this was the whole presuppositional side 10 broken cake kind of garbage. This guy was going around and the statement he was issuing was so incredibly wrong, just linguistically, beyond anything else. And he kept asking this question, which was, give me proof and evidence that atheism is accurate and correct. Now, granted, everyone was sitting there fielding this in very different ways, and anytime somebody responded, he's like, oh, I did the list of atheists, which he said to me and then never added me to his list, which I think is honestly because he realized after the fact that, you know, I wasn't the only one in that video that countered him. My wife, who's a Christian, also countered him in that video. Because I responded and I said, well, you know, based on the way this is worded, you're talking about a faith claim. So me stating that, yes, I'm an atheist, yes, I don't believe in a God, and my wife saying that she does believe in one are equal. So in as much a way that claiming to believe in God shows that Christianity, the belief, is accurate and correct, is the same as saying that atheism, the lack of belief, is accurate and correct. It's just a faith statement. That's all it is. I mean, linguistically, the sentence really doesn't make sense, and that's the only thing it could realistically mean.
I mean, I think you can prove atheism to be correct and accurate. Well, you just have to, first you'd have to define what you mean by atheism, and most people usually label that as a...
are we going to know that everyone's an atheist as far as Zeus is concerned or something here?
I think a lot of people are an atheist as far as Zeus is concerned.
I mean, I am admittedly an atheist towards Shiva.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think Shiva's pretty cool, though. You got to give Shiva some props here, because Yahweh is presented as a creator god. Shiva's creator and destroyer. So
no, actually, Shiva's
hey, stop it! This is an Eddie Izzard routine, darn it. So you know, Yahweh goes, "Yep, I've got a garage. Well, what do I do with it? Well, it's there now." Shiva, yep, garage, yep, not garage, yep, garage, yep, not garage. You kind of go back and forth.
I do what I want.
But yeah, it's part of an routine.
I mean, there are a lot of good arguments against God. I mean, I think the problem of evil is a good one. Another good one is not good. It's decent. I think another good one is divine hiddenness. Justin Schieber of Rational Doubts has a pretty good argument, which is just a cumulative case argument against God. There's also the design argument against God's existence, which is kind of interesting.
I've been seeing some design arguments lately from some of the atheists, actually, which is kind of interesting.
I hope I didn't inspire them with one of my rants after the stroke.
Way to go, Shadow. Way to go.
Well, I was a little ticked off after the stroke because people were like, you're intelligently designed. I'm like, I've got news for you. I recently had a stroke because of genetics and diabetes, etc. There is plaque building up in the primary artery leading into my brain. Please tell me how this is intelligent in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
I was a little irritated.
Well, I think those of us
this is intelligent design. I'm like, if that's the case, your God's an ass.
I think those of us that have had maybe something in our bodies gone wrong, or in our minds gone wrong, we understand that you know, as Christians, those of us, I think some of us understand that while God makes us in His image, our bodies are not perfectly made. Like, we do have some problems. And
So the two arguments usually delve into two categories. One is design would entail stupidity. God's not stupid, therefore we're not designed. Or one from evil, like we're evilly designed, and that's bad, therefore not God. I'd say that the response to stupidity is an argument from ignorance, because in order for us to evaluate design, one has to look at the objective of the inventor or the designer. Without that, I don't think there's sufficient
Hang on.
information.
I think the notion of design as it's normally portrayed, even from a theological viewpoint, when you start looking at the reality around that we actually reside in, is kind of a bad. It's kind of a no-win argument. I don't think it works. And and this is the thing and this is why I think that the people that are religious that also believe in things like evolution have the advantage. And what gives them the advantage is because, well, we evolved this way. You can have this divine entity giving things a nudge or, pushing things towards a desired outcome. But once you take that direct design that every molecule was put in place and you have that bit of entropy thrown in the system, at that point I think a lot of these things kind of dissolve.
Funnily enough, I've been noticing quite often now that when some of these intelligent design arguments are being made, they're actually talking about events at the molecular level as they currently happen within a cell. And it means that what they're arguing is for God to actually be in there, tinkering with every reaction in every cell, in every organism, every day.
Yeah, that's a little bit much. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
For anyone who might not be aware of it, I practice what I refer to as pseudo-apologetics, or, fake apologetics, essentially. That what I'll do is I'll grab something that's in the Bible or what have you, and I will see how far I can push a premise. And in terms of the whole notion of the proverbial creator God and this whole kind of stuff, I think the best I really came up with, because you start getting into whether this God character intervenes and all these other things and the power of prayer, then all these things are weighed against God supposedly having this plan, etc. And I think almost a video game-like analogy works better. That when things were created, there were these rules put in place. If this God decides that they're going to intervene too much, they will effectively break reality. They'll break the game that they wrote, so to speak. It's like patching it too many times. After a while, it just breaks down and doesn't work right. So, I mean, taking it from this viewpoint, well, does that limit God? Well, not really, because he put the limits on himself, so I don't think that counts. Because he created the framework in which he's having to interact, because he basically created the rules for the game.
I think computer analogies for this are really easy to understand and a great way to follow it, because that one, particularly for me, defines the whole thing of destiny and predestiny and all that kind of thing, because I think of it as if-then statements.
Yeah. But, I mean, the thing is, the idea of every single thing that ever happens to you was plotted out, I don't think that works. I mean, if you're going to say that we have free will that was made by this theoretical creator character, so if we have free will, we have to be able to change the potential outcome. I think it makes more sense to say that, no matter what choice is taken, that this divine entity would know what the outcome would be.
Yeah.
So that he knows all possible outcomes, not that he's saying this is the one that you will end up with.
I think that God's will can't be thwarted, right? So like our free will, while I do believe in our free will in a limited sense, not in a huge cosmic sense, but in a limited self sense, I don't think we can thwart God's will. So if God had like a major plan, let's get twisted here and say Judas was part of God's plan, right? Because that was brought up to me by a Calvinist recently. If Judas is part of God's plan, right? I think that if I believe in free will, I would believe, which I do. I believe that Judas had the ability to get out of that temptation and not do what he did. Would that mean that Jesus would have never been crucified? I doubt it. I bet there would have been another way, Like, I don't think God's will gets thwarted just because we make a different choice. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we can thwart his plan, his major plans. They act like if I believe in free will, then Judas would have been able to thwart major plans, and everything would have been different.
I look at it on, more like that Judas went along with the plan because he had absolute faith.
And
So you're of the I've heard this before too, that Judas was kind of in on the plan.
No, I'm not even saying that. Given what Jesus had told everybody, and he said he would be resurrected, and Judas had enough faith to believe that.
yeah, I think he is. I think Judas was determined to do it, but I also think he acted of his own free will. I don't see any kind of incompatibility there. I think one can be determined and yet free.
Yeah, I mean it intrigues me, and I'm not talking about from a theological standpoint, but from a human standpoint. What was going through the mind of Judas? Because it is intriguing. The ultimate betrayer, etc., etc., or the only one of the 12 that had enough faith to go through what was ordained for him to do.
I think he acted wickedly. I mean, there's very little. Oh yeah, I think he acted wickedly myself. I mean, yeah, he spoke about his resurrection, but I don't think killing would have been the way a faithful person would have acted. I mean, I also have faith, for example, that my relatives will be resurrected at the end days. They'll be found righteous. Yet at the same time, I don't kill them because I recognize that they also, as human beings, have such a thing as a right to life and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but Jesus said to him that he should go and do what it was that he had to do.
Hang on, Jade just got back. Hey Jade, quick update. The external comment was made that he didn't want to come into a room full of atheists, so I already let the cat out of the bag with that. But he hasn't responded since, so I don't know if it's just that he's trying to avoid being in a discussion with one atheist and the rest of the room filled with Christians or what. I don't know.
Maybe it's a room full of 3 Christian girls. 3 Christian
Could be.
women.
I don't know, man. Maybe he's afraid of the V.
Putting the pussy on a pedestal. Yes, I did just say that.
We're talking about Judas. Is he the ultimate patsy? Is he the worst human being ever in existence? Or was he a man that actually had faith that the Messiah would come back and rise again?
Or did he take Jesus' teachings too far?
Ooh, that's a good guess.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, not thinking about this from a theological point of view, but just from a human point of view and the way humans behave in given circumstances and trying to work it out. Because I think it's fascinating.
I'm actually in a room full of people that didn't challenge me on that. Wow.
You know, there's a literary understanding that Judah represents all of the Jews, and that his death is such because of the rejection, and then the curse upon him is because of the rejection again. So that's another way to interpret it.
Yeah, that's the thing is, it's the same point. One thing that always got me is a lot of Jesus' preachings were preaching against preachers, frankly. Against people that were sitting there and, promoting the religion and this and that. And could it be possible that Judas just took it too far? It's almost like that adage from Buddhism that if you meet Buddha on the road, what do? Kill him. Now, mind you, this is Zen Buddhism I'm referencing.
Good old Zen.
So maybe on some levels he, whether he thought that Jesus was actually God or potentially thinking that he needed to liberate God from the flesh or what have you, who knows?
That's a very interesting interpretation.
So it's almost like Judas was the first Kool-Aid drinker.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, could be.
I mean, he's set up too as the treasurer. That was his job. He was the treasurer of the. He was he. It was almost like it was set up to look like he had a high value for money,
Yeah.
and that literally it could have been for money, which is kind of weird.
Well, I mean,
Well, actually,
the other thing, interesting thing is, now, mind you, I have read the Jerusalem plot, and this might have something to do with it. But, you know, if Jesus was supposed to be crucified, maybe he kind of set it up with Judas. Who knows?
Although it would be kind of interesting because Jesus said himself that money was the root of all evil. Not money, but the love of money was the root of
The love of money is the root of all evil.
the love of money is the root of all evil. And it would be very ironic.
Or Judas loved him more than the money because he threw the money down. Yeah. Well,
That was later out of guilt, was it not?
I just think it's really interesting. I mean, in John 13, Judas says, Jesus eats the bread, and that says Satan entered into him. And then Jesus tells him, hurry up and do what you're going to do, which is interesting.
Jesus has, yeah, I mean, it depends on the gospel because some gospels play up Jesus' omniscience. Yeah, that was John. Some gospels, especially John, play up Jesus' omniscience, you know, giving him a high Christology, whereas a lot don't, giving him a low Christology, you know, like being ignorant of things.
Well, I'm starting to think that Armored Christian is afraid to enter in a room with one atheist, and what, we have 5 Christians now? So, yeah, I stack the deck in his favor as much as possible.
Armored Christian could be a Poe. That is something that I've considered.
And I'm willing to declare him one as of this point because
Poes can get exposed by other Christians quite easily.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the reasons. Well, granted, the unstated reason, because I didn't mention to you folks why I wanted a bunch of Christians in the room, because he's every other time said, "Oh, you know, room full of atheists, room full of atheists." This is a room full of Christians. There's one atheist, and I am probably the most accommodating atheist you're going to come across here.
That is true.
Tonight, because I'm playing nice.
So we can officially say he's not a true Christian.
I'm willing to call him a Poe at this point because I stacked the room with Christians, and he's still sitting there with his little tail between his legs, like, "Oh, I'm scared. I'm a scared little puppy." So yeah, sorry, Poe. I'm gonna bang the gavel. There we go. And what I'm probably gonna do in a little bit is seeing as this one's apparently a wash. If you guys don't mind hanging on, I think I'll start a standard shuffle in a few minutes.
Sure.
Awesome.
I'm going to be heading off my bed.
Well, have a good one, Fiona.
Half 4 in the morning.
Oh, but Fiona, how are you feeling? You feeling better?
I'm getting there still, and I'm sleeping an awful lot. But I was warned that I would, and I'm still not allowed to drive for another week and a half. So I'm trapped at home.
It does not sound fun, so I'm glad that you're, at least, it looks like you're sitting up and stuff. And
yeah. Keyhole, that's the stuff that you get done and you can be out the same day. And me, 10 days, I must be a wuss.
Oh, no.
But anyway, I'm getting there, slowly but surely. I'm just having to work out what I can now eat and what I can't eat. So I had to change my whole diet. It's very strange. Anyway, I'm going to go and get some sleep now. So take care, guys, and be good.
Right.
No promises.
Night.
Take care, and I'm going to post the link to the standard shuffle, the 15-person hangout, in a couple moments in the sidebar. And then I will be posting it to everyone on my standard list on the Shadow Heathen channel. So give me a few minutes. This will take about 5 minutes to get set up.
You think we might get some drunk bears done tonight?
I need to ask Shadow about some production things sometime, or Sokka, because whenever I try to put the chat up on my show, I have a lot of problems for some reason, like just chopping it up. Like I always have to redo it every time. I use XSplit.
Actually, what I do is open a separate browser that actually has the live chat as it's going, and just copy that into it.
Just the live chat only?
Yeah. Well, I open up a browser and I just grab the one little section of the window with the live chat.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's what I tried to do. I was having so many problems.
And I'm gonna have to switch to headset for this because that's a thing. Because yeah, XSplit does not like my area mic right now. Hopefully, I'll be able to fix that later once I get the actual proper production room set up, which it'll be about 6 months. I'm actually about 5 now, I think, probably. We'll see. Come on, damn headset.
So, are we still live by any chance?
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still live in here. The little thing's still lit up, so give me a couple more minutes. And
All right.
I will take this down, and the formal shuffle will start up in a couple moments. Let me finish getting organized.